Hello everybody, this is our very last revision lesson on the League of Nations. What I'd like you to do is to make sure that before you have a go at this lesson that you've done all of the other lessons leading up to this. So last lesson you should have done the exam, and the lesson before that you should have had a go at the short answer test that is a quiz on Show My Homework. Please make sure you've attempted those things before you do today's activities. So depending on when your last lesson was and when you did the actual exam, your teacher may already have sent you feedback and some targets about what you could do to improve. You may not have received that yet, but it will be winging its way to you if you sent that into your teacher. If you didn't do the exam and you haven't sent it to your teacher, please make sure you do that as quick as possible, because that means we've got a little bank of evidence of what you can do. So today's history lesson is a little bit different. It's a little bit open to you for you to do something that would help you with your revision. So we've labelled it as flexible revision. So we've spent 5 lessons so far revising the League of Nations. What I'd like you to do today is use the time and opportunity to make something different that you haven't already made to help you revise the League of Nations. So this PowerPoint sets out some different techniques of what it is that you could do. So I'm not going to talk very much about the first technique because most of you know this one. You could have a go at making some flashcards. So on the very first lesson and on the second, I attached the short answer test. You could, in order to make sure that you've got the basic knowledge, make sure that you have flashcards of each of those questions. So the idea is make them, read and revise them, test yourself, get someone at home to test you as well, and repeat those steps regularly. So testing yourself, repeating, testing yourself, repeating. It's a really, really simple one. So let's make some now if that's one that you fancy doing. Obviously, if you don't have actual flashcards, I've given lots of you loads of flashcards over the last few weeks. Please make sure that you just cut up some pieces of paper. So a lot of you are dead familiar with that one, but do that for this lesson if you think that's going to be helpful to you. So the second technique that you might want to try is mind maps. This is one of my absolute favourites. Now I know the little example that I've got on the picture there is the Treaty of Versailles, but you just put the League of Nations in the middle, and what I put this side there saying what the kind of legs would be coming off it. You'd have aims, membership, structure and organisation, successes in the 1920s, failures in the 1920s, Manchuria, Abyssinia, reasons for failure. That would be a fantastic mind map. Again, feel free to use a big piece of A3 paper if you've got one. If not, you've got your exercise books. Take a double page spread in any of your exercise books. Don't be precious about which book it goes into, just anywhere where you've got space, and make a really good mind map on the League of Nations. So it says that this is simple and effective. Use the same information that's on your flashcards, or use the PowerPoint that I went through on YouTube last week to give you the main ideas. Divide it into categories like I've done on the right hand side there. Make it colourful and pretty. Don't spend ages making it pretty, but the nicer it looks, the more likely it is you'll want to look at it again. Add illustrations, pictures if you find that helpful. You could colour code it. It says there for events inside and outside Germany. I don't know what I mean by that. You could just colour code it for different sections of the league. Read it regularly. Some students find it useful to put them up in their bedrooms before an exam. So if you fancy it, let's make that now. Now the third technique is one that some people love. It is not for me. I'm going to say that because I'm a terrible artist. I'm not very good at drawing. But some people find visual techniques really, really helpful to them. So it makes you think about the information before you actually turn it into a picture. So take each section of your mind map or of the flashcards that you've made or of the PowerPoint and make an illustrated diagram to summarise the key points. So if you've got you can see there what I've done the aims of the league. So I've done to stop war, and that's the second one. I'm cutting out slavery there, so it's the other good works that they did. It's about encouraging trade there, the export-import bit, and it's about disarmament there, banning the bomb. There'll be quite a lot of pictures to it in the end, but actually, some people find this very, very effective. You don't have to be a great artist. You could do what I've done here, and rather than hand drawing it, what you could do is you could do pictures like this. Some people find this to be a great way of kind of having a very quick visual look at what happened in the League of Nations. Old Chestnut, again, I've put an example of the Treaty of Versailles, but it could be anything. We've done loads and loads and loads of these revision clocks. You might have some blank revision clocks at home, or you could just make it on a piece of paper. You could do it on a double-page spread in your exercise book. It doesn't matter where you do it, as long as you do it. So you've got to think about dividing it up. So you might have one section on aims, one on members who joined, one on members who didn't, one on the assembly, the council. You could divide it up in all different areas. A section on Manchuria, Abyssinia, league successes, league failures. There's lots and lots of different things there. You could do different colours for every sections to make it look effective and stand out. And of course, you need to test yourself on this later. So you might test yourself on the first 3 sections before moving on. It's an effective way of revising key information. Have a go if you fancy doing that one. Some people like to use the internet for their revision. So you could use something like GCSE, BBC Bitesize. If you go onto BBC Bitesize, or if you search just on YouTube, on Google, you could just put into your internet browser BBC Bitesize League of Nations. You will find out some information on that. It's a bit confusing sometimes, the BBC Bitesize website, in terms of finding the information. At the moment, the AQA section doesn't have conflicts and tension in it, but don't worry about that. If you just put in BBC Bitesize League of Nations, you will find the information. It pops up nicely. It's actually twinned with the Scottish GCSEs at the moment, but that doesn't matter. It's the information that counts. There's some little videos on there which are quite nice, and there's some little tests. So it would be reading through the information, it might be jotting down some basic notes, watching the videos and having a go at the test. Have a go at that if you fancy that today. I really like this next technique, and I don't think we do enough of it necessarily in history at the moment. I think it's something we need to move on to and do more of. So study a section of the league knowledge, such as membership of the league. Cover the information up and write what you can remember in blue or black pen. Check your notes and add anything that you have forgotten in red pen, and then repeat with a different section of the league. And as you can see, I've done that there with membership. So I wrote out the stuff I could remember in black, and then the stuff that I'd forgotten as I covered it up, I wrote there in red afterwards. Have a go at that if you fancy it for the rest of today's lesson. The next technique is for those creative types amongst you. Some people like to record it and have it so they can listen to themselves talking about it. I say so you can listen on the bus. You might not be travelling on the bus very much at the moment, but so you can have it on if you're doing, other jobs and getting on with stuff around the house, or whatever it is that you want to do. Have yourself talking yourself to sleep about the League of Nations and playing in your headphones. You could turn your flashcards or your other information into a song or a rap. We've had students make some quite good raps in the past. There's some really good ideas on YouTube of how people turn their revision notes into something much more creative and much more interesting. And actually, it's not about the final product. It's about how you get there. Because actually, the turning it into the song, the rap, or reading it is where you're enforcing that knowledge. You're reinforcing that knowledge into your brain and making yourself think about the information in a different way. Good luck with that one. This is the one that lots of people try to avoid, but it's probably the most important one. Most of you will already have made something, a mind map. You might have made some flashcards. You might have made just a few bullet pointed notes in your exercise book. It doesn't matter. The really, really big deal is, can you apply the knowledge to some exam questions? So the final technique that I want you to make sure that you have a go at some point is having a go at a past question. Now, you should have done some in the lessons before this. Give it to your teacher to mark and just do more, do more, do more. The more exam questions that you have experience of, the better. So today's lesson is all about making something. Have a go at doing something, and you can share it with your teacher if you want to, but you don't have to. It'd be really nice though in the Q&A box if you let us know today how you got on. What did you make? Did you make something a bit different to what you normally do? Thanks ever so much, and I'll see you soon.